Much colder night than we've been used to, and even in the towns and cities we're looking at single-digit temperatures. So Friday morning, a cool and fresh start to the morning. You'll certainly notice that as you're heading outside the door, but for most of us you'll also notice a lot of sunshine. Now towards the middle part of the day, in the early afternoon, there'll be a little bit of cloud bubbling up here and there, but most places will have a dry day. Temperatures, well, 14 to 16 Celsius, and the wind's a little bit lighter, so perhaps not feeling quite as chilly. Now for Friday, this high pressure brought the fine weather, but for the weekend, these areas of low pressure will be spilling in off the Atlantic, bringing some spells of rain. So it looks like the weather is going to turn a little bit more unsettled as we go through Saturday and Sunday as well, with some outbreaks of rain developing, but there's a little bit of uncertainty exactly where that rain's heading at the moment. So we'll have to firm up on that as we go on through the next few days or so. But if you want a full 5-day weather forecast for the time being, the address for you is bbc.co.uk/weather, and you can check a full 5-day weather forecast there. But that's all from me for now. I'll be back with more in about half an hour.
Thanks, Chris. This is BBC News, the headlines at 9 o'clock. The Pope left Rome a short while ago for the first ever state visit by the head of the Catholic Church to the UK.
But there is already controversy after a senior cardinal compares the UK to a third world country.
And the other headlines on BBC News at 9, the government could put off a decision on whether to renew Trident until after the next election.
Cosmetic surgery fears worries that patients aren't being cared for properly.
John Lewis and B&Q report a jump in profits, and the latest retail sales figures are out in half an hour. Good morning. The Pope is in the air on his way to the UK. He will arrive in Edinburgh and, of course, this morning have a meeting with the Queen.
Yes, he's meeting her at Holyrood House. There will then be a parade through the city before an open-air mass in Glasgow. Let's go now to Holyrood and join Sophie Raworth. Sophie, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, this is where the Pope will be arriving at 11 o'clock this morning. He lands at Edinburgh International Airport at 10:30, will be driven straight here to be greeted by the Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh, the First Minister Alex Salmond and the Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg, along with 400 guests who will be filling this courtyard. It is going to be quite an eventful 4 days. Let us give you an idea of what is to come over the next few days ahead as the Pope begins his first ever state visit to the UK. Now, of course, the Pope was invited to Britain by our head of state.